Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 43 of Art for Art's Sake. So excited to introduce Oscar Sarmiento to you today. He's going to read a number of his poems in both English and Spanish, and we'll talk a little bit about his experience with writing and all that stuff as we go along. If you have any questions during this episode, there we go, just put them right in the comments and I'll be sure to check them out and ask them as time allows. So this is Art for Art's Sake. This is a virtual program from the St. Lawrence County Arts Council. You'll probably notice if you're one of our regulars that we haven't been doing it every single day. We are slowing down a little bit, but we're still showcasing our local artists and bringing them to you, our community members, to be inspired, to feel motivated, to see the power of the arts in our lives. If you're an artist and you'd like to get involved in this program, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you. Art from all different disciplines. We're totally flexible and would love to showcase what you're doing here, learn about whatever it is that you do. We want to see you. So reach out to me directly. My email is director@slcartscouncil.org, or you can message me here on Facebook. As always, I always want to thank our sponsors and all our members and all our donors and everybody who has helped support the Arts Council right now and in the past. Thank you so much for seeing that the arts are important in our lives and for helping our organization continue to perpetuate that. If you would like, you can go right to slcartscouncil.org/give and make a donation today. If you're not yet a member, you can also become a member. You don't have to be an artist to be a member. We also have a supporting membership title, if you will. So jump on there and join or donate. We'd love to have you be a part of our community here at SLC Arts. So without further ado, we've got Oscar Sarmiento. How's it going? If you want to just, we'll make sure you're unmuted. There he is.
I think you can hear me now.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity to, share something with people.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll take it away.
Okay. So I was recalling that I was just remembering, you made me for some reason, because of your presentation, remember that maybe haven't read poems, to people like in 3 years. Lily, my wife, she will remember, okay, the last instance when I read. So it's been quite a while, okay, quite a while. So I'm going to start by reading 3 poems. The first one is Mothers of America. Mothers of America, at light speed, running from place to place. Robust children on their arms, already speaking moon tongues. Mothers preventing the polluted air from entering their mouths. Children proving the staccato of mothers' voices all over the place, right. Mothers trafficking in funky blues, arriving before dark to train stations, cooking tremendous ghosts before dawn. My inspiration and my expiration, my 100 years of solitude and salt, my lucid, electrifying open eyes, rolling down bodies of stellar dust and dust. The second poem is brief and has to do with a situation that caused a lot of pain for many people. And the title is, you will remember because the situation because of the title, El Paso Walmart, 2019. I cannot get over this. If she had kept from speaking, the gunman would have let Lily go, sparing her life. But after looking at my face, nose, and skin, shoot me without trepidation. The third poem has to do with news local news that I was reading one day. And given the circumstances, I felt compelled to use the article and write a poem. So this is actually a person who I believe lives in Vermont. And the title of the poem is, lives here in New York State, in Plattsburgh. So the title is Plattsburgh Cab Driver Pizarro Says No. Do not forget when they took you away from your family, says Pizarro. Do not forget the tears rolling down your face. Do not forget how it broke you seeing those you trusted would secure a little place, a house, a kitchen for you to break something more, much more than bread, darkening, lost in memory, miles apart from your hunger, from your hands hungering for their hands, fingers reaching out to their fingers. Do not forget when the howling ghost from Haiti, Palestine, China, from everywhere and nowhere, hop rapidly onto your cab and ask you in the thick of this blistery winter to let them a soothing hand. And please take them to Roxham Road. Do not forget how they pray to be together, how they share in the same breath, only a few miles before that border crossing. Do not forget how the heart pounded hard in the chest, how the stomach felt raw and empty, how the legs shook to pieces. The faces of love miles apart from your own, and you only that hunger for mouth, for arms that will tremble, and eyes that will find each other in the dark. No, 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 this will not happen again. Tell yourself and turn on the ignition. Go find the faces lost in the past, now waiting for you at Roxham Road, and breathe deeply along with Palestinian, Chinese, Haitian ancestors, grandma and grandpa, that you never, you always, always will have.
Wow, that's really so powerful.
Thanks.
Do you feel that you're a poet slash activist in your writing style and your writing selection or content selection, perhaps?
Maybe for today, because I wanted, for the reading to have some kind of focus. And given the circumstances that we are living through, I wanted for the reading to have some kind of content that pertains to, in this case, refugees, right? And well, terrorism in the country, if you will, persecution, discrimination, and so on and so forth, and to put myself as a Latino person in my reading as well. It comes and goes. It depends on the circumstances. I am kind of spontaneous, and I need to connect. It's like my energy needs to connect to the global energy, people's energies, and that way, the poem will come. It's the only way. It's the only way. So I may have the intention to write about something, but when I have the intention, the poem doesn't come. I cannot force it. And sometimes
that goes.
sometimes what happens is that you write, something, and then you toss it, and then you keep insisting, and somehow the poem finds its own way, but it has to push against you for it to come alive, actually. And you have to let it come, right? Let it be. So that's what happens. Well, my next 3 poems are in Spanish, and I don't have a translation because I kind of don't like it. I mean, it depends, you know, sometimes it works, but I wanted to just give anybody who may be joining us today, to give them the full power of the language by itself. The first poem is a rather short poem for a poet that I admire, Cesar Vallejo from Peru. And I relate to Vallejo in the sense that he spent many years away from Peru in Europe and in France. And as far as I know, he never returned. Actually, he's buried in Paris, and I visited that tomb, and it was a very emotional moment for me. So this is a poem for that Peruvian poet, and the title is Para Vallejo desde el 21. Encontraste las palabras justas para no mancharte las manos con esa sangre. Encontraste tu página, tu pequeño cuerpo inconsistente, tu luz de último minuto entre tantas otras. Uno que baja hasta tu voz no se queda, te lo juro, en silencio. Uno aprieta entre los dedos una porción ilimitada de tus pobres huesos y los oye como silbar en el viento agreste de la desmemoria. Razón de más para sacarse en cosa de segundos el sombrero y salir a la calle a dar una y otra vez la cara. Por ti, por tus palabras, por tu inmenso dolor. So the second poem I'm going to read, it's supposedly a rap, okay? I was always curious. I'm not a person who listens to rap. It's not part of my generation. I understand the cultural significance of it, the power, right? And the performance part of it. So I find it really, really interesting. And I said, well, why don't I try it? You know, why don't I try it? And so the title would be in English, I believe, The Immigrants Rap or Immigrants Rap, okay? And it's my autobiography as an immigrant in the United States. So I pay attention to the complexities, the challenges, the beauty of it, everything combining together as part of the experience of being, in my case, the immigrant person that I am, okay? So here we go. Rap del inmigrante. La verdad, soy inmigrante. Algunos dirán que qué desplante. Otros, oye, qué trasplante. Pelárselas hacia otra parte es todo un arte. Parentela por atrás, futuro por delante. ¿De qué vives? Oye, ¿de qué mueres? La verdad, soy inmigrante. Es todo un arte, digo yo que una magia, más una cuarta de nostalgia, espíritu que sopla por todas partes, a veces todo un parto, otras veces una especie de infarto, suerte de paraíso, de rotundo permiso para tocar todas las teclas del piano. La verdad, soy inmigrante, es uno de esos rasgos que arrastro, otro rostro que enrostro, polvo de estrellas botadas por el mar en la arena, viaje con pura piel de viaje, sin perder nunca el norte, sin perder nunca la cruz del sur. La verdad, soy inmigrante. I had the satisfaction of reading this poem to a group of students, Latino students, on campus one day, and I think I read the translation, or maybe both, the Spanish version and the English, and they were happy. And one of them was looking at me like, not bad. So that was a really happy moment for me.
You're the cool teacher.
I was trying my best. Okay, and this is a very special poem for me. I wrote it not very long ago, It's my last poem in Spanish for today, and it's dedicated to Jesus. I am dedicating the poem to Jesus from Guatemala. Some local people know or knew Jesus because he was here for a while. He crossed the border in very difficult circumstances. He was not a speaker of Spanish. He spoke indigenous language from Guatemala, so he was learning, keep catching up on Spanish, and at the same time learning English. I think he is like 11 years old. He's not here in town now, but Lily and I, we spent hours with him, and he's such a beautiful person. So the title of the poem is Children, Niños. There are some children who went out seeking after the wind. And there are some children with big eyes staring from a window. There are some children who learn to play with along with the silence. Okay, just to give you an idea of what I wrote. Niños, para Jesús de Guatemala. Hay niños que salieron a descubrir el viento, las manos en cada bolsillo agujereado del pantalón. Hay niños de ojos grandes mirando por una ventana. Hay niños que aprenden a jugar con el silencio, su pelo enredado a las alas distantes de los pájaros.
Clapping silently over here. So I speak very little Spanish. I took French in school, but I've taken some Spanish instruction, at least on my own. And I just feel like that doesn't really matter. Like, even though it's not in the same language, I can feel there's a certain power and of feeling with poetry. And I really appreciate you sharing this with us.
Oh, fantastic.
And do you find that you write in Spanish and English equally, or did you go through it? Where did you used to write a lot of poetry in Spanish and then you write a lot more in English now? What do you think?
Yeah, no, the language I write more often, of course, is Spanish in my case. And for a while, what I was doing was to try and translate the poems I wrote in Spanish into English. But I'm a translator, so I know what translating means. And I realized, yeah, I could work on translations, but to render the poem, into English, it takes effort, it takes creativity, it takes subtlety. And I was compelled by Maurice Kenny, poet that I treasure, to write in English. He told me one day, Oscar, you are here, you need to write in English. So okay. And that kind of helped me say to myself, write poetry in English, and also write different things in English, which I love languages. Spanish is my first language, but indeed I love English. I think I am a good reader, and so I don't. I know what it takes, though, what it entails, to write in a different language with precision. The key word here would be with precision, and so I need to be patient with my English as well, and work on it and let it rest. And sometimes it comes, and sometimes it just takes longer. But that happens in Spanish as well. But truly, I have to say, yeah, Spanish is my first language to go in terms of writing poetry. Yeah.
I also loved that rap, and I thought that was really awesome. And I wish I could have been in your class when you were doing that, because that would have been fun. But you're also a really incredible musician. you don't have
Am
your
I?
car today, and you don't want to say that for whatever reason. But would you consider, have you written songs, and do you use your poetry in song as well?
That's a good question. Um, I had a complication with writing lyrics. I don't know why, but maybe it's because when I was 16, I started writing poetry at 15. So I really wanted to write poetry. Uh, Lots of poetry. I wasn't interested in writing stories or anything else. It was just poetry, reading poetry, writing poetry, sharing my poetry, reading poetry with my friends, going out and read for people and so on and so forth in Santiago. Um, so once I went to college, my second year or first year of college, I had my good friend play guitar with me. We had a duo, and I was reading, writing some lyrics. But you know what? I felt disappointed in my lyrics. I never felt like I could get them to be as um, as I wanted, because I think writing lyrics, it's a trade by itself. Uh, when you write a poem, the poem has to sustain itself on its own. And when you write lyrics, you know that you're attaching that to the music, right? So they need to go together. And so it's a different kind of animal.
Yeah,
So,
poetry versus lyricism. Yeah, they're different art forms.
so maybe I'm too respectful, but yes, I've written some lyrics, and but maybe my comfort zone is just being quiet on my own and writing my poems, and then let myself go when I play an instrument. So it's just interesting. For some reason, I I have two lives. That's what happens. So
Well, I respect that. That makes sense. I get it.
yeah, and I was hoping that you were enjoying the rhyme as I was reading the rap, because
Absolutely. Yeah, it was cool.
that's fantastic. Okay, so my next three poems. Uh, I hope you enjoyed this one. I really personally like this one because it represents somehow my ethnicity and one side or angle of my being, from being born in Chile. So it's a recipe, Chilean salad. Focus on your organic tomato. Focus on what that tomato may do to your mouth. Avoid the slightest possibility that it may be rotten. Cut it into sweet mental slices. Let it expand juicy among the julienne-style sliced onion. Remember, the olive oil will not forget your palate, your tongue. Dip your imaginary tomato in some sacred cilantro. Now, enjoy your dish, your impossible salad of longing. This one, Salvador, my son, likes a lot, so it had to be here. Um, the next poem I wrote a long time ago, given a different circumstance, so personal circumstance, and but I think it fits pretty neatly into what is happening today or at the beginning, especially of the pandemic here in New York State. It's a poem about body that is ill and how we take care of that body, and somehow maybe it's a tribute to all the nurses, the front line, uh, just fighting for people, fighting to keep people here with us and taking care of them. So this is my little tribute, if you will. Nurse the body. Nurse the body in pain. Make sure not to get on its nerves. Feed it on the mouth. Give it water. Share your breath with it. Let it hurt and obsess till it reaches out for a helping hand. Share more breath with it. Nurse the body making zero claims. Collect the urine in one container. Wash the body off forwards, backwards, folding, unfolding, or not in silence. Let it make no sense. Scrub it so that it now shakes off its pale demeanor. Concentrate on the pores. Zero in on the minutiae of folds and wrinkles. Being priceless, you tell the body in pain, will never, never be your fault. The next poem is an homage to Maurice Kenny, Mohawk poet who was my my neighbor in the hall. In the office, he was always with the students, and I was not far away listening to all those conversations, and many interesting conversations with the students. And he would come up to my office and say, "Hey, well, let's go do something. Let's have a poetry reading and a week, and you need to be there, or just anything." He was such a great person to have around. So for Maurice Kenny, once again the hawk. I, who had never seen him, spread out his wings and take off. See the hawk now, deepening the tips of his wings in the waters coming down the Adirondacks, flying high up, disappearing into the horizon without leaving a trace, like an imaginary hawk who knows how to fly since he was born fierce, with nobody who could cut off his wings, nor his rushed breathing, flying toward the horizon with the grace of the best poets, those who keep no sweet tale untold.
Awesome. I love that you dedicate your almost all of your poems to someone, that you're sending your words and your, well, it's more than words, it's just your creative, whatever it is, your creation out to other people. That's just so it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's just, even sometimes, I think I have one poem that I intentionally I think this one I intentionally wrote for Maurice, right? But I have one more poem coming up that I intentionally wrote for one student. And as I was writing the poem, of course, I was thinking of her, and the poem couldn't have come to life without me recalling her moments and thinking about her and so on and so forth. So at times that's what happens. And I think maybe I should make it even more intentionally, because there are so many people and that I like to remember, that I treasure, that writing poems, thinking of them, it's a way to keep them close by somehow. That's the reason.
I love that.
So the next poem, it's dedicated to Salvador. Okay. I wrote this one quite a while ago, and with Salvador, my son, we usually play guitar together, and that has been a tremendous plus for me, because I am not necessarily into what he plays or his music, and so he teaches me a lot, by me trying to do something on my little guitar. So this is for Salvador. Mad about her. Man, that guitar I would follow wherever she goes. How she darts her sound out. I would speak to her so softly, endlessly bow to her. Curvy, woody, never, never perky. Ludier who made her was mad. From a fig tree carved her out. This next poem I wrote in the north part of Chile. For a while, Lily and I, my wife and I, we were going to the north part of Chile to see her mom, especially. One of her siblings is also in Arica, this border city with Peru. Okay, so it's kind of close to our reality here, but that's a city, so it's in that sense it's different. And I went to the beach because it was very close to the apartment where we were at, and I was sitting trying to do sort of a meditation moment, and I took a look at this piece of wood that was in the at the shore and I wrote this poem. Okay, and as you'll see, it has to do also with the historical context we are in. The broken raft. This raft I found today ashore, left here by the ocean waves, awaits no longer for someone to ride it. This foggy winter morning, the stumbling waves unrelentingly pound the sand over and over as the salty breeze drenches my lungs. If it ever did, this broken raft will no longer take his human cargo anywhere. Still, I can see here on shore baby faces staring a smile at me or extending a hand out as if to suddenly shake mine. I would rather not have stumbled upon this raft here on my 1 hour walk by the ocean. I would sit like I'm doing right now, looking at the waves rolling and unrolling, only focusing on my breath. I wish I could reach out to those baby faces going from shore to shore, their eyes glaring at me, and extend my hand to the hand out to shake mine. I will take instead a snapshot of a broken raft driven ashore by the waves, and then jot down a few words on my cell. And as I look at the waves rolling and unrolling against the slippery sand, I will pray that they all landed safe and sound. Pray for once that other hands were able to do what mine will not do. Pray without praying for shelter, milk, and home. I think at the time I was reading a lot in the newspapers about the refugees coming to Europe in particular. And you remember those pictures that we all have seen, the boats and so on and so forth, plus the picture of that child that was at the shore by the ocean. So I think it came out of that in my mind. This is a poem for something that I don't know if you knew. He actually was very important for the local culture. His center was always available for artists. His name is, I hope I say it well, Otto Sherpak. Okay.
No, Otto, yeah.
You met him. Okay.
Yeah.
He coached soccer, for a while, so Sal knew him that way too.
I knew him from Sal, through Sal, actually. So.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so with Otto at the hardware store for Otto Sherpak. A few days ago, I ran into you and rushed to give you my condolences for the daughter you lost. It was not easy. It was no easy feat for me. No one wants to dig deep into people's scrambled hearts. You looked at me through narrow eyes, and I knew we had made contact. What did hit me hard? I don't know your tears. Memories of those happy moments when you and your daughter pretended to fight. You remembered that. You missed that. That was happiness. So I also wanted to include that poem because I wanted to center myself here. You know, this is where I live. This is my community. This is my family's community. And you invited me so graciously. So I thought I should speak from here, you know, knowing that my life also sometimes takes place elsewhere, but this is home for us. Okay, this is part of my experience.
And I love that Otto, what is, you used that poem about Otto and then connected it to home, because I think that Otto was a really amazing person who created a home for a lot of artists, who created a home for a lot of young people like Sal and Andrew and my husband Matt and like all those people. They would go hang out at the tile company, and that was their home as well. And so that's a beautiful sentiment. Yeah, he was really pretty cool, the guy. A real Potsdam dude.
Exactly, and he had many lives. You know, he was a cat of many lives. So he was here, but he had been to many places as well. So I can relate to that.
Love that.
So I think I only have 2 more poems to go and finish. The next poem is that poem I was referring to that I wrote to my student. She was going through a very tough time, or she had been through, very tough times. And I had the humble satisfaction, let me put it that way, of showing the poem to her, because this poem was published in an anthology. And so she's read it. She's read it. The title of the poem is A Red Rose, or Red Rose, for Jonelle McCrary. A red rose, not a carnation, I will bring to you. A rose, though I'm no gardener. Yes, for your life and your silence, your persistent smile, a rose, like nothing much. The rose your mom could have given to you, your dad. It takes sometimes a stranger to think of a rose, the same stranger who you see pulls it out of his hat. A rose should be, I feel, a promise, nothing to brag about. Petals, thorns, aroma, strong enough to awaken moon dust, to bring back more, many more, yes, roses in bloom. The stranger, the lunatic, if you will come up to you, a rose on his open palm, entrusting you forever, the second, to grant the flower its shine, its shadow, its silhouette. More than a ghost, more than a spirit, more than his own breath, surviving only for you, for your smile, for your sweet salute to the windy day, for your silence and the vibrant aroma of your heart, rooted, yes, deeply rooted in all your own days and days to come. Keep, please, this in mind. A red rose ready to glow for nothing on a stranger's open palm. And this poem I also chose because it reflects my life in the Adirondacks. And since this is a community opportunity for all of us and for me in particular, and since you extended this invitation to me, I just again wanted to make it, homey. So Okay, so this is the last poem I'll read, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you.
My elected official. Let my elected official be the cat Zeus, all day long sleeping in the shape of a donut on the same flowery comfy pillow. Let it be the snow that still blesses the ground here in North Country, New York. Let it be, why not, my mother, who taught elementary school until Alzheimer's erased all alphabet letters from her sparkling brown eyes. Let it be the Adirondacks, that all year long master energy to let us breathe in and breathe out peace. Let it be poet Maurice Kenny, who roared his Mohawk laugh through silent halls of endless community colleges. Let it be the face of my transgender Latina student who told me she will one day secure enough money to buy a decent home for her hard-working Mexican father. Let it be my son Salvador's Cordillera Blues on his wild acoustic guitar. Let it also be the squirrels surrounding my house and cracking jokes on top of the chimney about its mystified dwellers. And let it also be this refugee poem that will now secure exclusive rights to publication on Mexican Spanish. Órale, all over America. Gracias, muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I don't even really know how to respond because your poetry is so just wonderful. And if anybody in the audience has any questions, we can take a couple moments to let you type those in. But I want to thank you so much for your time and for your talent. Actually, we have a comment right here. What lovely gifts of poems dedicated to individuals. That inspires me. I think it seems very challenging. I may try to challenge myself to give more gifts like that in my own life. How lovely. That was from Gina Matthews' comment.
That's a great comment. That's a great comment.
Just wonderful. You know, I'll mention that I love all these connections to Sal because he's one of our closest friends. He's the godfather of one of our children. And like, yeah, you are my family, and I appreciate your time and your talents. Is there any way that people can read more of your poetry elsewhere? Do you have it online or anything?
It's actually most of it in Spanish. So I gave in the little bio that I sent.
Yep.
This the title. There, people may find the website where these poems have been published. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll try to link that as well in the comments. But
yeah, and there is. Let me mention also, since you asked me, I'm going to take the opportunity. I also mentioned in there an essay that I wrote for this book publication that was locally produced, and it happens to talk for those who, to talk about hockey. Because Sal and I invested years of my life going to hockey games and going to thousands of arenas. And so if somebody's interested in hockey and my perspective as a Latino person in the North Country, well, you can easily find the book here. It's local.
That might even be in our Potsdam Public Library. I know that they have a North Country collection. So yeah, once they open up, we should be able to get into things like that too.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, please. Okay.
Yeah, so please go check out his work, Oscar Sarmiento. Thank you so much for your time and your talent. This has been episode 43 of Art for Art's Sake with Oscar Sarmiento. Thank you so much and have a great day.